Hi YouTube, it's your 24-bit game reviewer here with part 4 of my collection video. I hope you've enjoyed the first 3, and again thank you for all comments and just for watching it in general. I definitely appreciate that, being new to this, and thank you. So we're going to get running along with this one. Hopefully it won't take much more than about 7 minutes to get through them all, but this is my consoles. So let's go through this. Okay. We're starting off here with our TurboGrafx 16, by far one of my favorite systems that I've got. It took me a long time to find one, and I had to go through Kijiji and about 8 different people, and finally got my hands on one, and quite happy I've got it. This one came out around the same time that the Super Nintendo did. I think it came out a little bit beforehand, like around 1989 across the seas and 1990 out here, if I'm not mistaken. But a really awesome system. It's probably one of my favorites. Right beside it, we've got a Panasonic Real 3DO. This one was a little bit difficult for me to find, again, it being like one of the overlooked systems, and really not a great system, but it's okay. Really hard to find games for it. I've only come across 1 or 2, and most of the time it's like a card game or a board game put onto disc, so not the greatest of systems, but still looking. Hopefully I'll find some good games for it. Right beside it, we've got a Sega Dreamcast, and I think the system really got overlooked because of that guy right there and the PlayStation 1. Unfortunately, it kind of went out of business just because Sega put all their money into it and nobody was really picking it up. So Sega went off and continued doing games by themselves for Sony and for Microsoft. So they haven't completely disappeared, but it is a good system. Right back there, we've got a crystal version of the Xbox. Very, you know, I don't want to use rare, because it isn't rare, but I've definitely never come across them in the wild. I always come across the Halo one and the normal Xbox, so it's kind of nice to get the crystal one. Not a lot to say other than that. So the Sega Saturn, however, is probably my 2nd or 3rd favorite system. Really good. It's got some great ports of Mega Man, Panzer Dragoon. Sega's a great RPG, and I mean, if you haven't tried it, go pick it up. Unfortunately, it kind of got overlooked just like the Dreamcast because it came out around the same time that PS1 did, and most people knew that was coming out, so they just didn't want to bother picking this one up because of it. So, unfortunately got overlooked. This one here, this is actually the memory card right here. It's the size of a cartridge, so you almost have to blow on it to make sure it works, right? And any classic gamer will tell you how annoying that is. Right here we got our Neo Geo X Gold. This is the remake of the system. It's just a little too expensive to pick up the original for me right now. But the X Gold runs you about $200 brand new, but it comes with a nice handheld system, really well made, sturdy and strong, gives you about 3 hours of life, so it's not the longest life of a battery, but it's pretty decent, and you can have it played on your TV through the docking station. That looks exactly like the Neo Geo. Right beside it, we've got the monstrosity of the Sega Genesis 2 and the Sega CD and the 32X. This is just a big mess. Unfortunately, this 32X is not the greatest of systems. Doesn't have very many good games at all. The only one I've managed to get for is Doom, and it's pretty terrible. The Sega CD, don't have a lot to say other than it can't come out with a lot of terrible games for it. There is a few good ones though. I do have Lunar, and Lunar is probably one of my favorite for the system. So pretty happy to own a copy of that, and thanks Alex from P&P Games for helping me out with that one. Over here we've got the Sega Master System. Great system in the vein of 8-bit, just like the Nintendo. I actually kind of prefer this one over the Nintendo just for some of the games that have come out for it. It seems a little bit graphically more enhanced and more colorful. The sound, just like the Genesis, isn't quite as good as the Nintendo, unfortunately. Right behind that we got our PS1. Everybody knows about PS, right, where it started. It being part of the whole Nintendo era, and then Nintendo decided not to go with PlayStation, and well, history got made with the PlayStation game console that we are looking at right now. Right up here we've got the Nintendo Wii. Great system, not too many great games for it, but the online capabilities of it is excellent. Being able to download all those old classic Nintendo games, I loved it for that sole purpose right there. Unfortunately not a big memory space for it though. And speaking of the original Nintendo, right there, I've had this one for years and years now. I think it's funny, I've gone through 3 PS3s, 4 Xboxes, and I've still got my original Nintendo sitting right here. Works just fine. Right beside it, we have got a Super Nintendo 2. Took me a long time to find it. I just picked one up today, so I'm pretty happy to have the Super Nintendo 2 in my hands. I'm still looking for an NES 2 so I can get the top loader, but hey, you can't get everything all the time, so that's the thrill of the hunt. Pretty cool to have that, though. Right beside it, we've got our N64. Don't play a lot of games for this. I've got Mario 64 and all the Zeldas, which are pretty much the only reason I plug it in and play it. There are other great games for the system, I just never really own them, and some of them are just too expensive, like Conker's Bad Fur Day being almost $100. Right beside it, same thing, got a Nintendo GameCube. Don't really play it for much more than that little attachment at the bottom for the Advance, so I can play some of the remakes of the games that came out for Super Nintendo, and of course the Zelda games that came out for the GameCube, which I think are far superior than the Wii games that came out. Right above it is our PS3, this slim edition, but not the slimmest edition you can get. Then we've got the Xbox 360 Slim Edition with the 250 gig, and right beside us we got the black Wii U. Wii U, I have nothing but good things to say about it, and the only real negative that I have to say is that they don't have a lot of games for it yet, so hopefully some games will be coming out soon. Still waiting on that, though. I guess we'll see what happens. And for those that haven't seen it, that's the controller right there for it. It's just a little touchpad thing. Also really, really cool. We set everything up via a USB port that allows us to switch everything. Also a switcher right there that allows us to plug everything in almost all at once. Right beside it, we've got the classic PS3. This is the backwards compatible PS3, so it's really sought after because it's the only one that does all PS1, PS2, and PS3. Really, really good system. And we move over here to the PS2 and the PS2 Slim. Both really, really cool, and right there is my Windex for cleaning out the games. But yeah, the PS2 and the PS2 Slim, also really, really good systems. I mean, I don't really have to say much about those. I'm sure most people have gotten their hands on those throughout the years. We move over here to these are my backup systems, because I have duplicates, but we've got a Nintendo Gray GameCube over there, a Genesis 1, a Halo Xbox, and then I've got a backup of a Genesis 2, a Sega CD, and a 32X. Right there is my backup Saturn. And we'll start in with my hardware that I've got. I've got a Saturn arcade stick. Really good arcade stick. I can't complain about this one at all. Really happy with it. We've got the Neo Geo arcade stick. Really good. I like that it clicks. Pretty cool. Right beside that, we've got the NES Advantage. One of the best controllers for the NES system. I mean, aside from it just being an arcade stick, this is probably one of the best. And then we've got the SNES Advantage right beside it. Both great turbos. I'll get into a higher review on this, but for the most part, it's a turbo controller, and you can adjust the amount of turbo that's being used on both of them. And then there's my backup Super Nintendo and my SNES satellite, so I can play games like Nightmare on Elm Street with a 4-player. I absolutely love it. Finally, the thing that I'm going to show you, and it's just kind of like a pointer if you have a lot of games like I do, or a lot of game systems like I do. What I do to keep everything together is Ziploc bags with all controllers and hookups for every single system, labeled. Kind of makes things a little bit easier, especially when you've got as many wires and junk that I have. It really makes things a lot easier. So, again, it's a good idea to keep yourself organized and makes things a heck of a lot cleaner in your apartment. Either way, I'm really happy that I was able to get all of you to watch my collection video. The only type of pointer that I'm going to give you is that if you're going to collect, make sure you collect for the right reasons, and that'll always keep it fun. If you're collecting to make money, then it loses the whole fun aspect of it. I collect purely for fun. I spend $5 and manage to have joy for like a week. 2 weeks out of just $5. A lot of people can't say they do that. So make sure you have a lot of fun with this, and I promise you will enjoy every moment of owning these type of games. So here's hoping that your collection grows bigger than mine, and this is your 24-bit game reviewer saying push the continue button.